what did you think of that beginning quote? Does that make any sense to you?
No.
The Haunting of Hill House was a story about a lot of siblings.
The Haunting of Hill House was Umbrella Academy, but with ghosts instead of superpowers.
The Haunting of Hill House is bent neck fun.
Well done.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Fallingtower's Watch the First podcast, the podcast in which we watch the first episode of a series so that you don't have to. I should have started off with The Haunting of Hill House reminded me a lot of last week's episode, but we could talk about that a bit more. Today we're doing The Haunting of Hill House, episode 1. Steven sees a ghost. Our very special guest co-host, of course, Dr. Muhammad Noor.
Don't know how special, but hello. Always a pleasure to be on Watch the First.
Extremely special. He's the Dean of Arts and Sciences at Duke University. He's an occasional Star Trek science advisor. You know. We also have a glorious actress and cosplayer. She always dresses up beautifully for us. Kelly Park is here.
Hello.
Man.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. Love it. It's my favorite. It's my favorite. So.
Aw, you're our favorite too. We say that every week. Disclaimer.
Every week you're
I
here.
believe it though. I believe it. Okay.
All right. So this is viewable on Netflix, everybody. By the way, it said it was a Paramount television presentation, so I thought that was pretty cool. Shout out to Paramount. There, we do love Paramount.
All of Star Trek.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's talk about this, you guys. Let's just get right into it because we have so much to discuss. Everybody at home, give us a 5-star review. Please be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, be nice to us on audio, leave your comments in the comments section below. Not on somebody's door. That's graffiti. Anyway. Vandalism. Let's, Muhammad, what do we start with?
We usually start with some sort of predicament that we're trying to get ourselves out of.
It's my favorite part of the show. We're going to make some predictions. Here we go. Kelly and I have known each other for, feels like a
very long time. I want to say 10 years.
Maybe.
No, not quite, but about 8 or 9 at least.
Wow.
Because I met you, I think, in 2014.
Wow, we're almost there. We're almost at 10 years then. Muhammad and I have known each other for a grip of years. Maybe almost a grip. Still just a few.
About 3.
And Kelly and Muhammad, well, good luck. You've known each other for like a couple months.
Something.
All right.
Visits.
So we like to predict if the other person like this. Muhammad, I'm going to predict that you're going to be just slightly above average on this because you're going to think that the show was pretty good, but that your own personal opinion is not into this kind of genre. So the two averages kind of come together right around maybe like a 6 range. Kelly, I'm going to think that, boy, oh boy, you are a delight. You love all things practically. And so, and you're also really into like supernatural and horror stuff and cool cosplay. Great outfit, by the way. If you guys are only just listening and you're missing out big time.
Queen Kelly.
I'm going to say you like this pretty high. That's my prediction. What do you predict, Muhammad?
So, well, you just gave us a little hint when you said this reminded you of last week's episode. So that gives me a bar to think about, Ryan. I think you liked this pretty well. I don't think you absolutely loved it, but I think you liked it pretty well. And I know you like having a good story and a setup and basically something to entice you to come back. And I feel like this had most of those things for you. So I think for you, it might be in the high 7s range. Kelly, I also think you're going to like this too, because I remember I've gotten tidbits that you like Halloween things in general. And so, again, I still feel similar. I think maybe in the high 7 range also for you. So those are my predictions.
Well. I'll say onto you, good fellows, that Ryan, I honestly think you liked it. I think you really liked it. Maybe I'm just a little, whatever, just assume, I don't know the word where, I'm assuming, presumptuous Ding.
It is.
I presume that you do like this. I think you're in the upper, we're going up, upper eights, nines, I think you would think it'd be well done. Now Muhammad, I'm a little bit, I know we've only known each other a few months, but I feel like you are a good person that can appreciate, like, if it's a good, well done show, if like there's, good thing, like good timing and all that stuff. And I do think that, since you participate in things like these, you probably like a little bit, a little fantasy, a little something, nothing quite like myself, but at the same time, you still, so I think you liked it like 6 or 7. That's my 2 cents. Ding.
Worth more than
All
that.
right. Everybody at home, you've gotten some pretty helpful hints, truth be told, or maybe unhelpful hints, but you definitely got some hints. Make your predictions in the live chat right now. Do you think I liked it? Do you think Muhammad liked it? Do you think Kelly liked it? Let us know in the comments below or in the live chat. And while you're typing feverishly, don't worry, no stress, take your time. Muhammad here is going to buy you a little bit of time by telling us all what this show is even about.
I will tell us what it's about. So a family of 7 moves into an old house to remodel and flip it. However, a creepy, weird neck lady scares the kids and something kills the mom, but the rest escape. The rest of the pilot episode jumps back and forth between that early time frame and about 20 years later, when the kids are now struggling in their new lives, and the youngest of the family, Nell, has a bit of a mysterious breakdown and goes back to the haunted house.
Was it a haunted house, though? Yes, it was.
Yeah, it's in the name. That's not too much of a spoiler.
The name, by the way, was also a big giveaway for me. But let's move into the next game, in which we compare and contrast what we expected before we watched this first episode with what we actually got in reality. What do you think, Muhammad?
I love it. I love the expectation. You have to emphasize the letter half. It's always exciting to see what you actually getchened.
Yeah, the expectation is something, but the that's the real
big thing.
get.
When you think about how long we spend on each, on the expectation, we spend like a minute or two. On the getchen, we spend like the next 30 minutes.
All right. So wait, where do we start? We start with you, right, Muhammad?
Yep, usually.
Before we watch this first episode of The Haunting of Hill House, entitled Stephen Sees a Ghost, what did you expect, if anything?
I mean, I knew this is horror month. That's about as much as I knew. I assumed there was a haunting, there was something at Hill House, and that there was some guy named Stephen who was going to see a ghost. But really, I've heard nothing about this show at all. I don't know anybody who's told me that they watch it or any information about it. I hadn't seen anything about it online, so I was going in pretty much blank slate, tabula rasa.
Kelly, what did you expect before you watched this first episode, if anything?
What did I expect? I would say I expected gore. So I thought that this was, leave it to me. I thought it was like, have you ever seen the movie House on Haunted Hill? Right? The one from like the 2000s was a little trashy, but at the same time, it was actually, I thought it was really scary, where like all this stuff was happening in the basement. Had you guys seen that one by chance? That's okay.
Like I saw bits and pieces of it during a Halloween party when it first came out, whenever back in the day.
Like I said, it was the start of it, and then the character is like a little trashy, like almost like B film, blah blah, and it still kind of technically was. Obviously no one seems to know about it, but I thought it was really scary. But it also was really gory. So I thought for sure, I kind of was like, haunting, hill, house, they all have the same words in it, so don't judge. But whatever. The point is, I expected it to be gory and super fast and scary. Yeah.
Here's a couple shots of House on Haunted Hill.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Yeah, that's the one.
Okay. Uh, I'll tell you what I expected, everybody, because you're clamoring for it. I didn't
Please.
expect The House on Haunted Hill, but I did remember that title and did get confused by it. By the way, everybody, this was suggested to us by two of our good friends, Melissa Longo and Neil Patrick Stevens. I think Neil Patrick Stevens said it like, "Oh yeah, you got to do a Haunting of Hill House." But anyway, so when we
He
heard
was our
those
guest last week too.
yep, when we heard those, I kind of confused them and conflated them a little bit, but I knew it was something different. Eventually. So, what did I expect? Pretty much nothing. This is horror month, everybody. So, if you have horror shows to suggest them in the comments below, and we will review them. Maybe. So that's all I expected. Really, was that it was a horror thing. It was suggested at least twice by two different people. So we said, let's go for it. However, that's what also, when I saw it was 60 minutes, I expected, okay, it's a long episode. That's all I expected there.
Yeah, you don't like long ones.
Yeah. That's what we expected. Dr. Muhammad Noor, what did we actually get, or what did you actually get?
Yeah, I have to say, I was very pleasantly surprised. I went in, again, kind of thinking it was going to be a little bit more on the horror, gore, things like that, but it was much more focused on family drama than on actual horror or on, jump scares and bad things happening. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I found myself really drawn into the story. It did remind me, and like I said in the intro thing at the very beginning, it did remind me of Umbrella Academy, which, I don't know if you guys have seen that, but, this basically large family dynamics and, that they used to be close, but bad things have happened. Now they're a little dysfunctional. It was very similar to that in many respects. So I like Umbrella. I mean, I don't love that show, but I like Umbrella Academy pretty well. So that kind of drew me in. I really thought it was interesting that the guy, I guess it was Steven, at the beginning didn't seem to believe in ghosts, or not really think they were abundant, at least. And he there was we'll get, I'm sure we'll get into more detail on this whole, like, is there really supernatural? Is it preternatural, as he called it? But I found myself really drawn into an interesting plot through the whole thing. I mean, some parts were fairly predictable, like, the very, very ending. I figured well before that had happened what was going on. But overall, I really liked it. I don't want to give away too many things because I figure we'll go into this in just a minute. And I'll let you, Kelly, go ahead and tell us what you thought.
Well, definitely what I found was a supernatural, psychologically, and then like thriller kind of show. Yeah, definitely meets Umbrella Academy type family dysfunction, where it's just really liked this aspect of it because it like showed like them as adults, and it's just, usually other scary shows, they just don't tell enough about how it emotionally or psychologically impacted them. And to see them, they all have their own things where even the normal siblings, as you would say, they still had their issues. And then the ones who weren't quite normal, like black sheep, so to speak, like they were really dysfunctional. I mean, and it was, it was really interesting to watch. And I don't know. I really liked that dynamic of it. Like, no, it wasn't, it's not a fast show and blah, blah, but it's like you almost creep in through the back door and like kind of discover what really happened when it exploded in the front. So I don't know. That's just what I expected was way different than what I got. So, but pleasantly. So.
All right. Good stuff. Everybody at home, Muhammad mentioned the Umbrella Academy. We did review that one with Josh Sussman of Glee, and of course, Bridget Fitzgerald was joining us as well, actress, and that is WTF number 30. So check that out, everybody. WTF number 30, yeah, way back in the day, for our Umbrella Academy review. And also, last week, at the beginning of Horror Month, we did American Horror Story with Neil Patrick Stevens, and what I got was very similar to that, the first episode of American Horror Story. It was a family in a house where it's like, ooh, is there something? Isn't there something? And it was very, very similar also in how it's kind of like a slow build up, but this showed way less of any, supernatural or preternatural or unnatural or, anything. We got 99% talkie and 1% horror stuff. So what I got was that.
Did you like that?
I thought it was good. I definitely thought it was good.
Okay.
And I definitely enjoyed it. And I was definitely okay with watching it. But I also definitely, okay, here, let's just get into it.
Sure.
I only had a few negatives, and I can count them on 3 fingers. That is like a Darth Shuey quote. Like one time he said something like, I can count them on 2 fingers. I'm like, so 2. But anyway, one, I found the dialogue a little iffy in a few scenes. I thought that the dialogue was the weakest part of the writing in a few instances. I thought that I would have liked to see a little bit more horror something. Just give me a little bit more, because it's the entire first episode. It's 60 minutes. Give me something. Otherwise, it's just like a suspense story.
This is why I liked it more.
Right. And the third thing was that I knew what was going to happen in the final scene, because it hadn't happened. Steven sees a ghost. And if he hasn't seen a ghost and you're in the final 3 minutes, you're like, okay, so this is a ghost. Like, we knew it. We probably all expected it, right? Or at least had a hunch.
Yeah, no, I agree. Those are all fair points. On the second one, I actually saw it as a positive rather than a negative. But...
Hey, I bet. I thought of you about that too. I was like, all right, well, I was going to be okay with this one.
Yeah, no, that was good. I actually like this quite a bit more than I liked the one last time. Because I didn't feel like any of the characters were super annoying. And, the ones that I wouldn't like to know in person, I was fine just watching them. It's kind of like the Kai Wynn aspect from Deep Space Nine. Like, I would hate her in person, but I think she's an interesting character, as opposed to the one we watched last week for American Horror Story. The dad there. Oh, I just wanted to smack him and turn off the TV. Whereas there was nobody like that in this episode. They all were just interesting. I wanted to learn more, like how they became the way they were.
I did think about you, Mohammed, towards about halfway or 2/3 of the way through. I wondered about that exact thing. Is Mohammed wanting to turn this one off? And I thought probably not, because it's not in your face like the other one.
Yeah, exactly. No, there's a lot of things I liked here too. I mean, I had some nitpicks, but they're very minor nitpicks. Like there's a scene in the beginning where the dad was going around to check on the kids, and he comes back and the mom's in bed, and her hair is just like nobody's hair would be like that in bed. It's like, what on earth? Who sleeps like that? It's like perfect hair laid out in all directions.
Obviously, Kelly does.
Maybe so. You must have somebody lay it out for you and spread it nicely. But it was silly things like that. There were a couple of funny scenes which I thought were good. So, for example, when that person wanted to, or was asking about the supernatural, and he said, "Oh no, I like to say preternatural, blah blah blah," and he gave this long speech about what his camera was trying to capture, and she just had this blank look. At the end, she was like, "So does it capture that?" There were a couple of things like that. The quote, "You're like a frat guy." I thought that was very funny about referring to Theodora. But there were enough humorous things in there, and I just felt the development of the characters was really interesting. I guess we're not going to see that much more development on Nell since she's dead, but maybe through flashbacks. I did like the going back and forth too. It was interesting seeing the different times. Usually I find that a little annoying, but in this case I thought it was really done well. Each time I could understand where it was. It didn't take me a long time to figure out, wait, is this later? Is this earlier? Because no, they're a kid. It's clearly earlier. So, and they would say the name in some way to make it very easy. But no, I mean, overall, I found myself very drawn in.
What about you, Kelly? Were you just like, was it all roses for you, or were there a couple things that a little check mark here or there?
I would say it's mostly a rose. There's a couple petals. I was like, pick. But other than that, mostly roses. But I I really, like I said, I know that you were like expecting. I will definitely piggyback that. If I was going to pick a petal off, it would be. I wish they had a little bit more, at least in intensity, scariness, like in the first 60 minutes. It is a lot of talking. Like, just it's about a dysfunctional family, just in general. Like, and so I really liked it because I really liked that aspect of it, because it was really interesting again to see like how this has screwed people up, and you still don't understand why it screwed them up or how, and they'll give you a couple of like hints of like how they're going to, it seems like how they're going to explain why they are the way they are. And I like that part. And I like that, like, again, I kind of felt like every character, I just like Muhammad said, like I was rooting for all of them, because each of them actually had a little piece of like me in it. Like I was like, I recognize myself in that person for that reason. I recognize myself in, like Nell, like the emotional whatever, or there's, the twin who he using heroin, joking, that's a joke, but otherwise, but just even like the more functional siblings and stuff like that, just trying to be a normal person in a world that's not very normal. So I like that part. It's just that was really cool. I definitely wanted to see more scary entities. Like I said, that was my main pluck. But I don't know, I really liked it, and I was really invested in the characters. Yeah, maybe a little less talking, but overall, yeah, it was. I mean, yeah, I hopefully they would speed it up a little bit.
I didn't catch, were Nell and Luke twins?
Luke, that's what it was. Luke.
Yeah, I didn't catch that they were twins. I mean, I knew they were in the same bedroom, but
I didn't know they were twins until it was over, and I checked something on IMDb. It said something about twin or something like that, and I was like, oh, I didn't realize they were twins. But
I just assumed because all the other kids are very blatantly different ages. Well, not blatantly, I guess the oldest, yeah, but I just felt like the other two, those two were very, I mean, they shared the same room and stuff.
They did.
So I don't know, just picked little tidbits, but maybe not.
But you are right. One other thing I did catch from IMDb, and I never look at IMDb for these things, I just do my own thing, but I don't remember why I checked because I was like, how many, am I sure I have all of the siblings and all of the names? Because I felt like, because they said, and for me, I'm trying to figure out how many kids are there? How many, one person says your brother and sisters. So I knew there were at least two sisters, but then another person said something like, so the dad and 5 children. So I knew there were 5 children. But then there was also like a 6th lady that was not the mom, and I was like, "Is that?"
a spouse of one of the kids,
right? And so that's what I looked up to check that, and she also has the same last name as one of the kids too. So it made it seem, I'm like, how many Cranes are there? The last name's Crane. But anyway, the thing that I did see when I looked that up, and I think I got it figured out, but it said, to your point, Kelly, I thought it was interesting that you said you saw a little bit of yourself in all of them, because it says the Crane children represent the 5 stages of grief.
Oh
God!
Is that no? But that's so interesting, because we all go through all those 5 stages. So you're supposed to see yourself in all of these, and I thought that was such a brilliant idea. I wonder if that's
brilliant.
The idea.
Give me goosebumps.
Yeah,
I like that.
The writer just said, "Hey, 5 stages of grief. Let's have 5 characters or 5 children that all represent." I think that's great.
That's
writing.
amazing. Right? That's amazing. That's amazing.
It's deep, man. That's goosebump deep. Just saying.
Right? Yeah. So it says, so those stages, denial is Stephen, of course, right?
Yep.
Anger is Shirley. She was one that was grumpy and angry all the time. Depression was Theodora. Bargaining is Luke.
Okay.
So bargaining is like drug use and theft, I guess.
Yeah, and stealing and trying to like whatever, not. It's also a form of not acceptance. It's trying to change things. And acceptance is Nell. Nell is the one that just accepts it for what it is, I guess. But I'm sure there's more to that later. Anyway, I thought that was interesting.
I did get annoyed at the very, very, very beginning. That first quote of the whole show is, "No live organism or no living organism can continue to exist sanely under conditions of absolute reality." Remember they said that? I was like, what the heck does that mean?
But I'm like, I don't understand that either.
Yeah. That was one of my little nitpicks. That's a very minor nitpick. I did like the title sequence. It reminded me a little bit of Daredevil's title sequence, the music to it.
Mm-hmm. I don't think I've seen that. Kelly, what did you think of that beginning quote? Does that make any sense to you?
No, I mean, the only reason why it didn't totally bother me was because the way that, I mean, he did, the actor did a good way of like narrating it, that I could kind of pick up that it sounds like it was a book. I mean, like I said, it seemed very bookish the way that it was delivered. So I was like, I wonder if that's a quote from a book or something, and then come to find it, he's an author or whatever. But, yeah, no, does that mean like it has to be super, paranormal, supernatural in order for it to actually just like to exist on this planet? I don't know. I'm like, bro, you let me know. Like, I don't know. I'll find out in 59 minutes and 20 seconds or whatever it was. So, but no, I don't know. What about you, Ryan? Did it make sense to you? Did it cling? Did it keep?
See, I'm still stuck on Daredevil. I was like, did we end up doing that? And I checked, we didn't. We almost did Daredevil. And I sent Muhammad information for Daredevil when I meant the Flash, because I got those two mixed up for a second.
Oh, yeah.
No, they're very different. Don't yell at me, everybody. I know they're very different. But anyway, I was trying to check. I was like, have we done Daredevil yet? I didn't think so.
They're both red.
They're both red. There you go.
That's the thing. And they wear the thing and they look like...
You're colorist.
Oh, speaking of which, actually, that was another thing that made it difficult. It's not a real qualm with the writing of the show, because it's not really a problem with writing. It's a problem with me, is that it was very confusing when you have 5 kids. There's an aunt, there's a dad, there's a mom, there's fast forward too. So really what you have is not 5 sons and daughters, 10, because they're 5 actors play those siblings in the past. 5 actors play those siblings in the future. Then those 5 actors that play those adult kids are the same age as dad in the past. So there's a lot, and
lot to keep track of.
There was not much diversity for me to understand. And so, like, I'm a selfish diversity guy. I want diversity to make it easy for me to know, like, it doesn't necessarily have to be one guy from Guatemala, one guy from Japan, one lady from India, but it's like, give me a fat guy, give me a tall guy, give me,
a lot of Caucasians in the same room.
Somebody with a tattoo on his face, and just make it easy on me to know who's what. When you're introducing basically 15 actors, it's a little tough. That was a little tough.
Yeah, because they could have done like a little, even like what I like about, when they are doing diversity and inclusion or whatever, a lot of really good and realistic storylines is, adoption and stuff like that. Like it's interesting, or foster, or even, just different reasons why there are other people who aren't blood related. And so I don't know. I mean, like I said, I kind of agree with you. Like, we can go in a whole nother thing about, have you guys WTF'd Rings of Power yet? I didn't.
No.
Okay. Just
but
saying.
I think that a show that did that very well just on the adoption front was, why can't I remember it? The one with Sterling K. Brown. What's that show? And Mandy Moore.
Oh.
Yeah.
This Is Us?
This Is Us.
Oh,
yeah.
One of the best written shows ever. I think it's brilliant, and they did that very well. But anyway, mostly it was just because, look, if you just have one family, it's easy. You get it. But if it's one family in 2 timelines, suddenly you're doubling the amount of people, whatever. That's just for my own note taking. I was getting lost, but I think I got all the characters. I think I got them all.
I will say that was another pedal that I don't know if you guys agree with it or not. I can't remember because I think, Ryan, you said that you did follow it pretty easily. I actually did have a hard time following it. I kind of was like, wait, where is this at in the grand scheme of it? So it was one of those things that I myself got a little confused on what was going on. So I was like, wait, when did this happen? Did this happen before or after?
Yeah.
Because obviously I could tell with
exactly?
ages.
Which sister is this? Is this an aunt?
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, Muhammad.
I felt like, I mean, for me, I got it okay because I feel like they said the names enough. And usually when I'm watching a show, if I watch the first, I write, as soon as the name is said, I write it down. Just so I'm ready. So like, oh yeah, that's Theo. So okay, got it. I don't remember. So I felt like that was okay. But maybe if I wasn't doing it for watch the first, if I wasn't taking notes, it may have been more confusing. I do have a question for you. Speaking about characters, and I think you brought this up, Ryan. The Dudleys, they were kind of just brought up a little bit. And there wasn't really a lot of build on them. I'm very curious to see what happens with them. We saw a little bit of that scene where Mrs. Dudley, I can't remember her first name, was talking with one of the kids, and the mom interrupted. I think it was Stevie was talking with. Do you remember this?
Is the part in the dark night in the dark?
No, it was like in the kitchen or something like that. And
that was her only scene, if I remember correctly. Right? Was that
I think that's right.
Time we saw Mrs. Dudley, and the only
there were references to
Mr. Dudley was the chimney scene, or something like that. So we got very little of them so far. I don't know her name, but I think Mr. Dudley's name was, no, they just called him Mr. Dudley.
Okay. Yeah. But there was that reference too where the dad at one point in time was saying like the only people who are allowed to go in there are the Dudleys. And there was this emphasis on this, and they had been there since the 1940s. And it's like, oh, what? That's an interesting little side thing that was never completely built out in this episode. I'm assuming that'll be elaborated more in future episodes. But
see, and they also introduced a couple other characters too that I was like, wait, is this a sister or a brother or a dad or an aunt? And I don't think they were either. There was one named Lee. Who was Lee? There was somebody named Lee. It was a blind girl that was with Shirley.
I thought Lee was the wife of Stevie, the oldest one. Yeah, the oldest one, Stevie, his wife, right?
I remember he had a wife. I didn't remember that was Lee. Well, actually, I guess it was kind of ex-wife because he was somehow kicked out of the house or something, right? Because there was the whole him calling her and saying Nell's on her way over there, and she's like, fine, or what? She was very grumpy about this.
Yeah, maybe she's a wife, right?
Or ex-wife.
That was the extra one that confused me. Anyway, but overall, I will say, I thought this was very well done. I thought it was really good. I thought, like if I'm nitpicking that the dialogue wasn't great in a few scenes, in my own personal opinion, then that means overall the show was pretty good. If that's kind of the worst critique I have, and I did think it was bordering on very good. It was good. It was a great show. I thought that it was well done. It was interesting. It was fun, and I didn't have any. I was a little surprised when I was like, "Whoa, there's still 20 minutes left in this thing." This thing's moving slowly, but not too much of a bad way. I was kind of actually happy that there were still 20 minutes more for once.
Yeah, I paused it once, and because I was like, "Oh, I just didn't know exactly where we were at here," and I was like, I had like 12 minutes left, and I was like, "Oh, okay."
Oh, you know where it was that I paused it was when Steve was laying in the bed to try to see if he could see a ghost, and they set up the tension by letting you see his infrared camera or something like that. So we're all thinking,
"Here's the ghost.
I'm going to see something," and we're watching for it, and it doesn't happen. And then that's when I paused it. I was like, "Oh, there's still 19 minutes left. He'll see a ghost later." But because I thought the title is Steven Sees a Ghost, so we know it's going to happen.
We thought that was the ghost, and then
I thought it was an interesting ghost. That whole thing was kind of a fake out because it almost implied from the very beginning that was going to be the ghost, but the whole thing for that was a fake out. So that was cool.
That's the one thing was this show was more of tension building and faking you out rather than actually giving it to you.
Yeah,
because we didn't actually we got very little, and I really wanted to see the crooked neck lady. And we see very little of that. We get very little of, it's like I would like it to be a little bit more peppered in. Give me a little bit more,
I agree. I wanted just a little bit more, neck.
Yeah, don't you want to see the crooked neck lady?
We did.
Like she's literally right behind you.
She was bending over Nell at that one point when Nell was lying on the couch. Yeah.
That was maybe.
I was like, I'm good. I don't need to see her anymore. I'm good.
Did it creep you out a little bit, Mohammed?
Yeah, I mean, it was brief enough, but it wasn't like she was like, attacking her or something. It was just creepy. So I was like, that was okay.
Did Kelly, were you a little frightened when watching it?
I loved it. Oh, you know me. My favorite movie is The Conjuring, and my favorite movie is Insidious series. I mean, that type of like, I live for the makeup department. Whoever goes into that area in the field of and the entertainment industry, I just, you guys really just make it. I love it. So I mean, she was like, and I was like, oh. So I was like, see there, see, like, what if I just, anyways, I liked it. I was like, yes, this is scary. And I was watching it with my I may have a man in my life right now.
Aww.
And he was like, it's scary. And I was like, yeah, it is, isn't it? Oh, so exciting. Just saying.
That's awesome.
Did you watch it last night or today?
We watched it today, this morning.
You gotta watch. In the morning. You gotta watch these at night. What are you doing?
Well, hold on. Just hold on. The episode's not over yet. So just saying. I might have some of the tidbits.
Oh.
Whoa.
Oh.
I don't even
about why
about that last question.
on why it was watched in the morning. So we'll see. Just hold on to your horses.
All right, we'll see. Mohammed, did you watch it last night or today?
2 nights ago, at night.
Okay. What did you feel it was a little creepier watching it at night?
Yes, totally. I was actually hesitant to watch it at night because of that.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, I have time. Oh, I guess I'll watch it.
That's cool. I'm glad you liked it, though.
Yeah.
Seems like all of us liked it, which is great. Did you have a favorite moment, Mohammed?
Back in my notes here. I mean, the funny parts I thought were among the best. I mean, I like the fake out too in terms of what happened with Stevie and that thing. Yeah, I don't know that I have one that stood out dramatically more than the rest. I just felt like the overall thing was it just had a good pace to it, had a good plot to it. I found myself getting more and more curious as it was going on, what was going to happen next. I mean, again, the ending was kind of predictable, but the rest of it, like, this is interesting. I want to see what's happening. I want to see what. And I was for a lot of it, I was curious what the story is with Luke because we didn't really see Luke till almost the very end. So that had me wondering, are we actually going to see Luke or something wrong with Luke?
Mm-hmm.
No, I liked it. You should tease, by the way, Ryan, since you like it, you should tease War Dog Heim in the chat right now and say, see, I'm not the Kelly curmudgeon.
Oh, you'll see what I say at the end to find out. Kelly's not the only one that can tease. Teasing a little something to find out. I'm going to tear this thing apart during the bottom line, everybody. You watch.
Oh, man.
You stick around for the bottom line and you'll see. But yeah, Kelly, did you have a favorite moment?
I was thinking, like, overall, I would say my favorite moment was, we talked about it earlier. Do you remember when you said that we talked to Stevie and Mrs. Dudley? Well, that was the kitchen scene, right? Where she was like, we don't come here, the townspeople don't come further than that. That I've heard of that quote before. I'm telling you, that quote is from somewhere and I don't know where it's from, but it's something like, they don't come to the town, or people from town don't come near, whatever, after, they don't come any further than that in the night, in the dark. Like, it's a thing. It's a thing. So I went, oh, so I haven't looked it up yet. That's still on my list. But I'm telling you, that is not the first time I've heard that quote.
Oh, I thought of one other scene, the treehouse scene. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
That was the biggest tree house I've ever seen. That was a tree house.
Yeah. And did you notice the mom? She went, well, that's funny. What do you mean that's funny?
Yeah. A little.
He went, he's in the treehouse, and she goes, well, that's funny. And I'm like, oh, okay. But then cut to the actual treehouse.
Yeah, what's funny about that?
I missed that.
Yeah, because that was another thing. That's another one of those little mysteries that they drop, which is, why didn't the mom think he was actually in the treehouse, or why would the mom think that that's such a strange thing? Like, what's there? Something crazy happened there, or I don't know. But that was weird. That was another one of those little like wink to the audience, to the viewer, saying, "Oh well, if you want to know, you just have to keep watching the episodes to find out." And
Did
we're
you have a
like,
favorite moment?
um, possibly when the crooked neck lady, and I couldn't even tell if her neck really was crooked, so who knows? Could be a misnomer. Could just be a lady. When she was kind of floating over Nell on the couch, I thought that was pretty solid, pretty good, pretty effective imagery, I would say, and I like that. I didn't think the screaming was scary or haunting or
It wasn't.
necessary. In fact, I thought that that very end scene, again, since I knew what was going to happen, I felt like they didn't need to drag it out so long. Like as soon as the dad
Yeah.
says, she's dead, I thought he was just gonna go, what? And like turn around and she's gone. Like that's what I
Yeah.
thought. And then that's it. And then cut. And then we're done and we're like, oh my God. But then they're like, get it, you guys? Do you guys get it? Do you get
guys get it?
They kind of beat that point to death over the course of another 45 seconds or something. I didn't think that was necessary. I thought it would be more effective if it's just much quicker. Give us the reveal. He goes, what? Turned around, she's gone. And then we're like, oh shit, what happened? And then that makes us want to see more, I would think. But
I agree.
Point.
That's a mini pedal. I agree. I was like, I would have cut it a little sooner, just a little sooner-ish,
Same. I was actually assuming she was just going to be gone. I was assuming he was going to look back and she was gone. But
yeah, and I think that they wanted to add that scream for the idiots like Ryan that say, give me more. And they're like, all right, you got to give more for these guys. They're never happy. And then when they gave a little bit more, I'm like, I could have done with less there. So I'm never happy maybe. But
it's
I
like
thought,
bad ketchup.
give me more in the middle somewhere. And at the end, just, cut it. I don't know. That was my thinking. Anyway, Kelly, let's talk about you for a minute because there's been something I wanted to talk about. Like you mentioned something earlier, and I'm like, okay, now I got to wait 15 minutes to ask her about this, but I really want to ask her right now. So the question is, when you mentioned, props to the people that do makeup and stuff in Hollywood, I know you're an actress and you are a fantastic one, of course. Did you ever dabble in doing makeup though? It seems like you would have really loved it.
I do really like it. I did a little bit. So if you, my old IMDb, I did do a little makeup. And I was in a makeup department for 2 projects back in my day, and I really, really liked it. I just wanted to concentrate more on the front of the camera rather than behind, essentially. But one of my best friends, when I was living out there, she went to makeup school, and so there actually I was like a model or whatever for a couple times. So if you check on my Instagram, I have a couple. There's I think 1 or 2 pictures of me from when she was like practicing, and I mean, obviously it's not like perfect like the whatever, but it's like this, it's actually really kind of cool. There's a couple. I think I was Poison Ivy one time, and I was bald one time. So there's a bald Kelly on my Instagram. And I just thought it was really neat because I follow some makeup artists, and if you watch the process of even like, dismember whatever ligaments or whatever, it looks really like the process even looks really cool. And it's an art, like makeup art. Like it's a really cool art to see what goes into it, especially when you can start putting layers and stuff on. It's just, I don't know. I think that's a science that will continue to get even better. But that's why I'm so gung-ho on, another reference. I really like Lord of the Rings rather than The Hobbit, the way they would, because the makeup on those orcs and Orakai are just bomb, like they're fire. And then, I'm just a little bummed that, The Hobbit only did a lot of CGI, but I will say just makeup looks, I mean, Bathsheba from Conjuring, like I condemn you to hell too. Like, dang, so I'm just saying.
So last time you were on the show, you mentioned your TikTok that you were doing some things like with a squirrel and stuff like that as well. But you mentioned the possibility of doing some live action role play in there. Have you gotten into that?
Yes, I'm still working on it. I'm having a little bit of a hard time. I have a hard time figuring out how to work TikTok. So it's a very TikTok is a platform for young adults and teenagers and adult children to post these videos and be able to do simple editing and adding some stuff. And I just can't seem to get it down. I'm like, why won't this cut there? And I'll Google it and then I'll whatever. So I have like 2 videos that I'm ready to edit, but every time I go into it, I can't figure it out. And I was like, is this what 35 brought? Is this the year of 35? Like, cause I just turned 35 and I thought
it is.
This is what it is.
I actually Googled something to try to figure out how to do something on TikTok as well. And it blocked me. It said I was too old. So.
Really?
No.
No, just kidding. I'm just kidding. Because I was like, that's me. But that's pretty much what it was telling me. When I Googled it, it like kept going, well, if you want to do this and this, I'm like, but I just want to do the cut thing and the edit thing. And I mean, I've done a couple of videos, you know, since then. There was a couple more of Emrys, you know, destroying tissue paper. But I mean, other than that, I you know, it's still a work in progress, and it's yeah, something I can finally get going. And then I don't like doing it in front of my parents because they're always like, huh, I see you being creative again, Kelly. That's great. Thanks.
Nothing wrong with being creative.
Yeah, so I'm like, I'm just gonna go. So we're gonna try again, and hopefully by the next episode that I participate, if you will have me, I will have more content to show, and it'll be booming. I'll get like 30 followers.
I bet you'll do much better. Are you still doing brand promotion too?
Yes, actually that I'm very active in. So I do brand ambassador, like I mean, you know, like small influencer posts and stuff. The company will send me something and I will they'll pretty much give me the product and give me a little something to, you know, promote it. And so I've gotten a lot of really cool things lately, like lash extension, like serum, and different types of like lotions and stuff like that. You get to choose kind of a genre of what you want to do. So if you were to, you know, if you were to get invited, then you don't have to choose, you know, mascara, Ryan. Like you can have other things. Not that it's 2022.
I'm eyelash extensions. That's where I'm at.
No, and I thought that's fine. You know what? You can be whatever you want to be. There is no wrong answer in this day and age. So yeah, I've been doing that a lot lately. So I've been doing a lot of posts and things like that. Now it's just TikTok and losing 12 pounds.
So you mentioned TikTok and Instagram. How do people find you on those, on TikTok and Instagram?
Well, TikTok, I believe TikTok is just TikTok at Kellyanne Park. So KELLYANNPARK. And then I know Instagram, my handle's Kelly_Ann_Park. So like I said, now my Instagram's kind of blown up with a little bit of a Nina here, there. My little 7-month-old, she just turned 7 months. So she's doing good and making possession noises. And so I will be sharing those on the Instagram as well.
Love it.
Everybody at home, we're talking about this before we hit record. You heard her right when she said possession noises. Baby does make noises as if she were possessed. Is that right?
And like just and she'll sit there and she'll go, what? And I'm like, what? What? Where's the holy water? Like straight up. And my dad's like, what, is that normal? And my mom's like, oh, of course it's normal. That's what babies do to communicate. And I'm like, not that thing. So I will be posting some. You guys just stay tuned. So
that sounds awesome.
Speaking of your baby making horror sounds, was her mom ever in a horror movie?
I was. I mean, you know, it's it was called The Boom Boom Girls Wrestling. A little strange title. It was produced by 2 German women. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I got stabbed by a chicken. So, you know, it was good. It did a couple of those things and then a couple of short scaries that I'm not sure if I have them on my IMDb, but yeah, I've dabbled a few things here or there because it's my favorite genre. Halloween's my favorite holiday. So, you know, Christmas and Santa is all cool and fun, but let's get some like real, you know, I want to see some, you know.
Yeah.
It makes my dark soul feel better. So
now, everybody at home, let us know in the comments below, what is your favorite holiday? Are you on Team Kelly, where you want to see a little blurt blurt? What do you know, as she put it?
yeah.
Well, what's your favorite holiday? No wrong answers, especially not if you say Halloween. Okay, so let us move forward, because you know what the bottom line is.
Bottom line.
Kind of snuck that in.
I've been waiting.
Everybody calls it the terrible twos, but
Bottom
apparently
line.
Muhammad and Michael call it the bottom line. So we got to go with that for now.
That's the bottom line. The final two questions.
That's right. Here it comes. The two most important questions of the entire show. You could have just skipped all that other stuff. All that other stuff was just
Don't skip
charm, as my Bostonian friend would call it, charm. But these charm. See.
I was like, jam.
Like raspberry jam? Okay. Mm-hmm. And the questions are as follows. Question number 1, Dr. Muhammad Noor, hard-hitting question. On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give this first episode of The Haunting of Hill House, which, Kelly, does not roll off the tongue as well as The Haunting or the what was the other one? The
House on Haunted Hill.
Yeah, that rolls up. I guess maybe it doesn't if I couldn't remember it. Anyway, scale of 1 to 10, Muhammad.
I would give it, Kelly predicted very well, 7.8. 7.8. I really liked it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, Ryan, wow.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember what I said, what I predicted for you. Oh, no, I said like 6. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was not far. But I mean, I think Kelly said 7 to 8. I was like, oh, yeah, it's right there.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly, on a scale of 1 to 10, how high are you rating this?
I would say probably a 9.5.
Wow.
Just saying.
What could have made it a 10?
What you kind of said. I would have a couple extra bent neck lady / whatever is going on with other people's like scenes. Like was really curious to know like where about the fateful night that happened. I was hoping to get just a little more of that fateful night. So, that's all right. But but overall, what?
They're trying to make us watch the second episode. And everybody at home, you're about to find out if we're going to do that very soon. Before we get to that, though, on a scale of 1 to 10, I would give this episode an 8.2.
Wow, so you and I were very close.
Yeah, I found it very enjoyable. It was a good show. It was well done. I'm not going to compare it anymore to American Horror Story's first episode, because everybody got to watch it. It was just last week. Go check it out. Did I rate this higher or American Horror Story higher? They're neck and neck.
I was resisting asking that.
But yeah, 8.2. It was good. Again, I thought the dialogue was a little lacking in a few places, and I would have liked to see more, but it was a good show. It's a good show. I would recommend. But that's what we would give it on a scale of 1 to 10. Question number 2 is, for the purposes of this podcast, we all had to watch the first episode of The Haunting of Hill House on Netflix, entitled Stephen Sees a Ghost. But now that the podcast is over and we're free to move about the internet, Dr. Muhammad Noor, would you, of your own volition, theoretically, watch the second episode?
I would. I haven't yet, but I would.
That was easy.
I'm not like rushing to do it, but but I would be open to doing it. I might.
Okay. That's an easy one. Didn't seem like you thought about it too hard. Seemed like you were...
No, that was good. I was pretty positive on it.
Solid yes. What about you, Kelly?
Well, so here's my surprise.
Oh, boy.
When I watch the next episode, I have seen this season 3 times.
Whoa.
This is a show that I will put on in the background. This is a show that when I have like one too many glasses of wine on a Friday night, I'm like, I want to watch it. And so I have watched this show this season several times. And There's a reason why I do. So I'm just saying, I forgot for a second, for Luke's name just for a second. So I didn't want to like sound like whatever. I didn't want to like have to go through the podcast and be like, what, I was like, you know what? Let's just lead it on to think that I haven't really seen it. Oh no, I've seen it. I've seen it all because I will just say without giving anything away. The first time I watched the season, I had a lot of questions. There was a lot of things that I didn't understand. So when I watched it a second time, a lot of it made more sense. And I went, like, again, I won't give anything away, but from the first episode, when she said, that's why I brought it up, when she said, oh, that's funny. It took me a second time to watch it, why it was funny. It didn't make sense to me. I'm also a little
now. It does now.
But it does now. But it definitely took me a couple of those little loose ends. It took me a second time to watch it, and now I'm on I just watched all the other episodes, a lot of episodes all the way up until this started. So I'm on my third.
This came out in 2018. Did you watch it right after it came out, or was it more recent?
Yeah, no, I watched it in 2018. I watched it in 2020, and then I watched it, and then I'll still put it on in the background if I'm feeling like a little, like if I'm like doing dishes and all of a sudden I want to hear one of the other entities like just like lose their marbles on one of our main characters. I'm like, yeah, that's great. I just want some vibes. So
there's a big delay. They've only done one season, right, Kelly? What's the holdup for a second season?
No, it's not. It's what do they call it? Anthology? Is it anthology? What's it called? Where like it's just like American Horror Story, where the season doesn't happen. Yes, that story is over. So the Haunting of Hill House is done. So they already have a second season. It's called Haunting of Bly Manor.
Oh,
God.
So so I've seen. I mean, to be continued, but I'm just saying there's a second season that is there, and then I don't know if they'll have a third season or not. I haven't looked it up yet. I hope they do. But it's going to be a lot of the same characters, not quite as many of the same characters as like American Horror Story, but a couple of the main characters are still on the next season. Different story. I don't know if they're going with the whole haunted house themed in general. It seems like the two might be, whatever, but again, I'm not sure. So I'll just be waiting in the wings.
All right.
That was my sorry.
No, that's good stuff. That was quite the tease, and now it is fulfilled. The answer is yes, I would watch the second. I've actually seen the entire season like 3 times.
Oh, wow.
No, I'm just kidding.
I was like, you too?
No, but I would watch the second episode. It was not as strong of a yes or as easy of a yes because, it's good and it deserves a yes. But for me, I was just kind of like, dude, are you going to be just teasing tiny little bits of horror in the second episode and the third episode and the fourth episode? And and they're going to be like, yes, we're doing that to pique your interest and to make you watch it. Well, I just want to watch it. I don't need you to trick me into watching it. You know what I mean? So I don't like to be tricked. I don't like to be coerced into watching something. I just want something that's cool and interesting enough to where I want to watch the second episode. But let
me ask you a question about that. What if it was never billed as horror? If it was just billed as a drama?
Then I would never have seen it.
But if let's say you had to watch it the first. And it was never billed as horror, so there was no necessary expectation of horror. Would you watch it just as like drama / thriller?
Yeah, I see where you're going with this, but it does reveal itself as horror in the first scene. Like from the very beginning, there's something, that there's because the girl is talking about how she's being haunted, or the crooked neck lady. So from the very beginning, so yeah, I don't know if I could really put myself in that headspace, but it would be interesting if it was just billed as a drama, and I'm like, fine, I'll watch this, and then that happens, I go, I start thinking a little more
drama with a hint of horror as opposed to horror with a hint of horror.
it's like LaCroix for the horror genre. It's a hint of flavor. It's not like juice or Dr. Pepper. You get a hint of lime.
Vitamin water.
You get a hint of coconut.
Conjuring Dr. Pepper. Love them
Okay.
both.
So that's our fun, everybody, for today. It's been great. Please let us know in the comments below what you'd like us to review next for Horror Month. And also tell us what you thought of this show, if you've seen it, and let us know your favorite holiday. I was going to try to say haunted day, but that doesn't work. Or holiday. Ooh. And please be sure to subscribe and rate this and give us good ratings and all that kind of stuff. Kelly, this has been so cool. Thank you so much for playing with us.
Thank you. I love this. I was so excited, especially when you said the haunting of Hill House, and I went, "Oh yeah, that one." So thank you so much for having me.
You're like, well, twist my neck.
Bend my neck.
Well
Tall
done.
lady. Da-da.
All right. I think that's about it for us. Am I forgetting anything, Mohammed?
No, just to tell us what this podcast is.
Yeah.
This podcast was a bucket of fun. I couldn't think of a good Halloween pun.
This podcast was a discussion of an episode that pleasantly surprised me. The episode pleasantly surprised. The podcast I knew would be fun.
Yeah. I would say this podcast was entertaining with a hint of psychological counseling for my brain.
Well done.
I tell you, a hint of lime. All right. Good stuff. Thanks, everybody. Remember what Mr. Michael Canyon Rosenberg always likes to say.
Don't forget to be an organ donor, and don't forget to watch the first of things.
All right, let's freeze frame like we're the crooked neck lady. Wait.